In a Western Conference grudge match between the Rockets and Lakers Thursday night, no one was surprised that the game was a little chippy, considering what happened the last time they played at Staples. Of course, there was another reason for James Harden and Chris Paul to be concerned with the way the game was going to go, and his name is Scott Foster. What's interesting about Foster is that there are probably 5 teams in the NBA who think he's out to get them. But rarely do you see players get so vocal after a game to single out a particular referee.
Scott Foster, man, he's I never really talk about officiating or anything like that, but just rude and arrogant. It's one of those things where you can't voice your opinion, you can't have a conversation with someone that's officiating the game, and then, you're getting attacked. For sure, it's personal. For sure. Like, I don't think he should be able to even, officiate our games anymore, honestly.
Let's dig into some of the calls Foster made or didn't make to see what all the fuss was about. Early in the first, Foster is a trail official and he catches Ingram holding Capella away from the ball. Foster is pretty consistent with player control fouls, erring on the side of caution by calling things that other refs might consider too little contact. Foster called Harden out of bounds on this step back, and this was a very easy call. Later in the first, Harden does his patented reach out to draw the call and Foster gives it to him. And interestingly enough, both PJ Tucker and LeBron seemed frustrated. With Foster the lead official by the baseline and Harden having both hands on his man's back, this easily could have been called a push-off on Harden. Luke Walton is hot, but Foster rules it a turnover on the Lakers and Walton gives it to Foster. However, what makes you question Foster is that immediately after this, as the trail official, he calls this offensive foul on Harden. Obviously, it's a makeup call in Foster's mind, and I think these types of calls just make the situation worse. There is absolutely no way to call this foul on Harden, who's entitled to his space, KCP is impeding his progress, and this could have just been a no call or a defensive foul. Rockets fans are now officially upset and suspicious considering this was Harden's 3rd foul and forced him to the bench early. On this drive by KCP, there's a pretty big collision, yet neither Foster at the baseline or the referee in the slot call anything, luckily for the Rockets, who then get a stop after the air ball. Midway through the second, Foster impressed me with his ability to correctly see that this was a clean swipe on LeBron, refraining from blowing a whistle for a player who gets his share of calls. However, on the second attempt, clear contact by Tucker, putting LeBron on the line. LeBron goes hard at Gordon on this drive, there's plenty of contact, and not only does Foster have this call, even though I don't like his angle, the lead official with the much better angle has it too, and it's a good decision. This was an interesting call from Foster because it could appear that LeBron commits a loose ball foul going over the back of CP3. However, there's not a ton of contact, but on the way down, check how Chris Paul rips LeBron's left arm down to the floor. This is dirty, could have caused a serious injury, and without question deserves at least a personal foul that Foster ultimately called on him, and if I were reffing this game, I would have reviewed this for a flagrant, to be honest. Here's one the Rockets can point to for their Foster conspiracy. Clearly, Bullock doesn't let Harden land. There's even a collision with the legs as Harden lands. It's Foster's call without question, but he doesn't blow the whistle. The Rockets seized control of this game midway through the third, getting as much as a 19-point lead. And here's where Foster got involved again. It appears he waits to see if LeBron misses this shot before calling the foul, even though he doesn't have the best angle to call this. The lead official at the baseline does, and he doesn't see anything worth calling. And looking at it again, this is as clean a defensive play as you can get, so a head-scratching call to say the least. With the Lakers making a run to get back in this game, Capella sets a screen in half court. He gets himself set, his arms are in, the contact comes, this should be a legal screen, yet Foster immediately calls this an offensive foul. Maybe you could argue his feet were too wide, but it wasn't really part of the contact, so I just don't know how you can justify blowing the whistle for this. But you can justify getting in on the action with betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. Even better, you'll get a 50% sign-up bonus, and they have in-game live betting where you're hanging on the outcome of every play. Go to clnsmedia.com/win, use code CLNS50, and place your bets. Clinging to a 3-point lead, Rondo takes a swipe at Harden's dribble. Harden protects the ball with his off arm, and when Rondo grabs his chin, the whistle blows. This was debatable and not easy to tell how much contact was made, but his forearm does get up a bit high anyway, and more importantly, this wasn't a Foster call. The momentum completely shifted in the Lakers' favor with this LeBron drive and slam all over Eric Gordon, and it almost felt inevitable that the Lakers would take this game. And in a moment where you'd think Foster would have made a call against the Rockets, when PJ Tucker grabs Hart around the waist, he doesn't make a call, giving the Rockets another possession. LeBron barrels to the hoop in a tie game, it looks like Green hits him on the arm, and Foster makes the correct call. CP3 got all upset on this turnover, demonstrating that he thought this was a kicked ball. But what he doesn't understand is that a kick has to be intentional, and this ball just gets dribbled off of Ingram's foot, so this is the correct no call. Down 2 with under 3 minutes to go, Harden gets to the rim for a floater, Kuzma steps in and appears to take a charge. But look at the lead and slot officials. They don't move. This is a call made by the trail, the one guy that cannot call a block charge at the rim since he's got no angle to see this play. And guess who the trail official is? Scott Foster. To make matters a little worse, the reason the other two didn't call this is because you can see he doesn't get set until after Harden is in the air. It is pretty close, but it should not have been a foul on Harden, and it was crucial on many levels. People on Twitter argued with this LeBron drive, saying he took 5 or 6 steps, but they missed his last dribble that occurs in the lane, so the footwork to the rim was kosher. However, he lands before releasing this ball, and it should not have counted. Foster didn't have the best angle for this, and it was really close, but they missed it. With a 6-point lead, the Lakers just about had control of this game. Harden gets into the lane, and LeBron takes a charge, something you don't see every day. But on a pass-off, after he had already applied the brakes, checked the trail leg dragging to slow him up, plus LeBron leans into him, then embellishes the contact, this one was a bit iffy. And none of the 3 referees were prepared to make a decisive call right away. But it wasn't Foster who made it, so less evidence of any type of conspiracy. But the effect on the game was profound as it took away a scoring opportunity from the Rockets, gave the Lakers the ball on the turnover, and forced Harden to the bench with his 6th foul. The game was still in the balance with only a 4-point Laker lead. Chris Paul was very provocative with his defense throughout this possession, pushing the limits of what won't be called here, until finally the refs were forced to blow the whistle after Paul hits him on the forearm, but then adds a shove in the back for good measure. The idea that CP3 would argue this call is ludicrous, and Scott Foster feels the same way, giving him a tech. Clearly frustrated with Foster and his history with the Rockets, D'Antoni foolishly asks for a tech too, and that ends the game, taking away any chance the Rockets still had to maybe pull this one out. While it's a bad look to throw the game this way, it is worth quickly looking at why D'Antoni would be so upset with Foster, and we need only go back to last year's Western Conference Finals versus the Warriors to see why. Foster is a trail official when Bell clearly fouls Harden on a step-back 3, but no call. Bell must let him land, and not only is he in his airspace, but there's a collision and it immediately has Harden and D'Antoni upset. Foster again is out top when Harden hops into a jump shot that goes in with a lot of contact by Clay, but they wave it off by saying it wasn't the shot attempt. It's hard to argue he wasn't intending to shoot when, the ball actually goes in. Remember this no call on the Bell screen of Harden? This one was interesting to say the least. If you want to get into the conspiracy, there's plenty of evidence that could support your claim that Scott Foster has a problem being impartial while officiating Rockets games. But basketball is a fast-paced, high-intensity game with lots of moving parts. There's a bunch of evidence that he makes calls in favor of the Rockets too. That said, considering the stakes as we move forward towards the playoffs, I think it's best if the league takes Harden's suggestion and simply doesn't have Scott Foster referee any more Rockets games in order to take any type of appearance of impropriety out of the equation. Oh, hey, good to see everybody. Thanks for watching this video. If you made it this far, then I've got something really special for you. A free video that you can only get by clicking on the link below. It'll break down my 3 favorite actions, and I guarantee you'll love it. So what are you waiting for? I'll see you on the other side of that link. Don't forget to subscribe to BBallBreakdown and adjust your settings so you'll get notified right away. You in?